proud of and happy for Anthony winning an award like that. And there's a lot of really good freshmen in this league, and I know he's had a lot of accolades and a lot of praise throughout the year, but to actually get voted on and get that award in this league, I think is prestigious. I really do, and I think he's earned it. And we're happy for him. And what was really great is I told him before practice, but then we told the team after practice, and they were really happy for him. So I love seeing that. Because he is just a great teammate, just a fantastic teammate, and he does so many things that don't always get noticed. Like I told him, he's one of the best screeners I've ever coached, and people would not attribute that to him, but he literally is. I mean, he gets people open. I mean, he is a fantastic teammate. He likes to see his teammates score. He likes to score, but he likes to see his teammates score, and he really likes to get them open. And I think it's a great trait for him, especially at that age. So as far as getting ready for this game, Ole Miss poses a lot of problems because they're physical, they're tough, they change defenses. They'll be on a mission, and we've got to match that. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you've got a senior like Crean who's had the career he's had, he's going to be on a mission in there. And we've got to do a great job of guarding him. Especially, we did not do, we had a great game plan for him the first time, but we didn't execute it the way it needed to be done. And he got too loose in our game. And we gave up baskets to too many other guys like Buffin and Cy, and those guys scored as well. But we didn't score very well in that game. Ray had 1 field goal, Anthony had 3 field goals. We're not gonna beat anybody doing that. And we've got to get production from a lot of people in this. But I think these guys are excited to play. With a good, sharp, solid practice yesterday. Today was very walk-through, run-through oriented, and in an hour's time, hour and 10 minutes time. And then tonight or late this afternoon, we'll get in there and shoot inside of their gym, or inside of the arena, I should say. And have game day tomorrow. So go ahead.
I was going to ask you about shooting. Shooters, good shooters. You have them, but sometimes they have off nights.
Yeah.
Are there any things you talk about shooting in the arena that if you absolutely have to put a gun to your head and we got to shoot in this game that you can do to assure it as much degree
as far
as possible?
As shooting,
or shooting the ball.
Well, we can't settle. I would answer your question this way: we can't settle for shots. We settled way too much against LSU the other day, and we made 3 threes, right? I mean, we can't, you're not beating people making 3 threes. I mean, you have to be phenomenal in so many other areas. And you've got to make open shots, but you can't settle for them. And we've got to do a much better job of getting the ball reversed, more passes, more cutting. And then it's almost like contagious sometimes. Like we hit 10 threes, I think, against Arkansas, right? The ball was moving at a high rate. We make 3 against LSU. It's not moving at a high rate. So you have to, if you're going to win this time of year, I mean, it's defense, it's rebounding, it's execution. You have to make shots, right? You have to make them. But at the same time, you can't hunt them and you can't settle for them.
Tom, what do you think the team's level of fight and determination is, and has it not been what you wanted the last couple of games?
No, because we've practiced extremely well. I mean, we practiced extremely well. And we've had days this year where we didn't practice well, and it manifested itself in the game in a bad way. But that has not been the case. So no, I don't see that. I see fatigue at times. There's no doubt about that. I see the grind of not only a long season, but we start early, right? I mean, it's a cumulative effect on these guys, especially those 9 freshmen. I mean, when you start in June the way that you do, and there's only a couple weeks off in August, I mean, that's the way the game is set up now. There's nothing that we do they are prepared for because they're never used to it. In the way that they play in high school or the way that they play in AAU, right? I mean, you're playing year-round, but it's not like this, with this level of practice and intensity. But I would say it's good. I would say we get a defeatist mindset a little too quick. I would say we let disappointment turn into discouragement sometimes, where we get discouraged or, we feel like we're failing and we get quiet. The other day, I think that happened to us. That's maturity. It's not necessarily immaturity as much as we haven't grown into it yet. So immaturity is when you're silly, when you're not trying. But growing into maturity is where we're at. And there's times we're good at it, there's times we're not. That's why we're so inconsistent. And that's the hard part. But I wouldn't say, I think their fight and spirit and attitude is very good going into it. What we've got to do is be able to have more resolve when it's not going well for us. That's what happened the other day.
As far as Anthony goes too, I mean, he talked about having to learn this year that he was going to be the focal point of every team's game plan, and then as far as everything else surrounding him this year, just how has he handled everything?
I think he's handled it well. We haven't made enough shots. to overcome some of that. Bottom line, we're 30% three-point shooting team, and that's been a problem, right? It's been a problem all year, and we've got to continue to develop it as much as we possibly can. Continue to work on it. We do. I mean, every day, right? I mean, we work to get better with our shooting, with our spacing, with being prepared to shoot, with our ball movement, with our cutting, all those type of things. We've got to continue to recruit it, right, as we go down the line. But the bottom line is you got to continue to move no matter what's happening, right? And I think he's learned a lot about moving without the ball. I think he can be better, and he will be. But we always have to, every once in a while, just remember he is 18, right? And let me finish this comment though. But the screening thing is really, I mean, when you get people open like that, the way that he does, and some of the stuff that we do, I mean, that's a real gift. I mean, he does a really good job of that. But he has had to learn a lot about being held and being denied and all those type of things, and how hard you have to work to get open. That's why the screening attribute is such a good one. I'm sorry.
When you bring up the shooting, is that other people not making other teams pay for paying that extra attention to Anthony when you get those
probably
shots?
Probably. We just have not been as consistent of a shooting team as you've got to be to win big. And when we've shot pretty well, it kind of coincides with us playing pretty well. That and our defensive field goal percentage. And now you take Tyree Crump out of the lineup. Tyree was shooting, I think I said this to somebody the other day here, but we since the Florida game, he was shooting 46% from three going into Wednesday night's game. That's the highest he shot here, right? In my time, I'd have to go back and look what he did his first 2 years, but 46% since the Florida game at Florida. And now we don't have that. I mean, and so and so now you're dealing with that too. But we're not over what we're preaching more than ever. Well, I always continue to preach, I should say, not just more than ever, but how much that ball's got to move. The next pass, right? Because when we just start looking for the open three, because we are open, right? We have guys they are not guarding. And so we've got to continue to move at a quicker, faster pace so that the ball will move at a quicker, faster pace. And then that frees it up. And it kind of all coincides with what both of you are asking.
Coach, Zion Williamson signed a contract for $40 million last year. This is what we're talking about with Anthony. Is there any, he still allows that, he hadn't made his mind up, and there is a scenario that he comes back to Georgia. How do you handle that part?
Oh, I don't handle it at all. I mean, we communicate throughout the day, every day. I mean, so that's not what's going to happen is going to happen, right? I mean, it's not a topic that we spend any time on. Right now, it's what we need to do for tomorrow, what he needed to do in practice today, the coaching points, the detail points, the energy points, whatever that type of thing is. But there'll be time for that, right? There'll be time for that, and I don't think it'll be that hard, when that time comes. I've said this all along. He's a great teammate. I mean, he's a great teammate, and I think he really enjoys it here. But that doesn't have anything to do with what he does in the future. That has everything to do with what he's doing right now. And I think that's where we're living, is in the moment, and when that future comes, we'll deal with it.
What's been your message to them defensively? I read your post-game comments at LSU. You said one of the quotes was, "We have a couple of guys that don't defend."
I didn't say we don't defend. Did I?
I think that's what you said.
I don't think I've ever talked like that. I'd have to see the quote that they didn't defend,
Yeah.
or they don't defend. Yeah, you have to. I don't remember saying something like that. Maybe I did. If I did, I'm remiss. No, we didn't defend as well the other day. We have to defend better. We have to defend better with our hands, with our activity. We have to be connected. More of that was a problem with last week. We didn't get nearly enough deflections. We weren't active enough as we needed to be. We weren't even close with that. But what happens is you can't lose your desire and determination to defend when you're not scoring, right? And that becomes an issue with everybody. And we just have to work through that.
Any questions?
Just real quick, Coach, Anthony was talking about y'all had a conversation with coach and players as far as this coronavirus deal that's going on. Anthony has made the statement about
we had a very good visit with it last week, and we talked about what we knew. We actually had a gentleman that's a friend of Brian Fish's that was in a week ago. That is at the vice president of human resources at the Nebraska hospital, where much of this is going on. Where a lot of the treatment is going on. Mm-hmm. And he had some eye-opening things that he shared with us as far as what they're dealing with, right? And how what do I say? How the proximity. I don't want to sound like a doctor, so I'm not going to say too much because I'm not, right? Like in normal situations, the proximity is very, very narrow, right? This one it's a lot wider. there's a lot more room, right? So I mean, what are you going to do? We just try to make sure that we're putting everything in front of them that's going to matter: education, verbalizing it, hand wipes, the dispensers, more and more with the fist bumps, and just being conscious, right? Just being very, very conscious and trying to get it across without, throwing some panic or fear into it, right? But just trying to help them every possible way to get that.
Did you say Nebraska Hospital?
Yeah, the University of Nebraska Hospital. Yeah, where they're doing the majority of the stuff. Yeah, so a really great friend of Brian's, and I'd met him at Missouri, and then he came up with another gentleman for the weekend when we played Arkansas. But he had a lot. I mean, what they're dealing. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're trying to do there, and it just keeps. There's just a groundswell every day that just takes off even more. And our hearts and prayers are with those people that are dealing with it, and especially going into Nashville. Not only the coronavirus, but what everybody's dealing with there with the tornado last week. So, but we're just trying to help our guys in any other way like we would to be as educated as they can be.
Thank you.
Thanks.